tell Bowen he needs to bring his blow up sheet because I'm not doing that shit. We heard the stories of last time.
Oh, it was hard work, mate. It was hard work, but it was the only way I could get him to sleep. So there you go. Anyway. Well, we still haven't got the guys join us, but we might as well move on to our first topic anyway. And we want to talk about the Black Ops 4 beta and that going live this week. Although we had some issues with it. I mean, as it is, we had less time on the beta anyway, purely down to some issues with whether it was on Microsoft's side or whether it was their side. I don't know.
I think it's sad.
I think, yeah,
Microsoft, to be honest.
Yes, yeah, I think that was where it seemed to be coming from. So we've had less time on it anyway. Is this something that both of you have played?
Yeah, I've played it.
Yeah, what about you, Andy? Have you had a go on this? No, he's gone to the toilet. Look, he's gone to the fridge already for a cider.
Oh, for God's sake.
Sorry.
He's a nightmare. He's a nightmare.
We've got a message on the old MicroPod crew Facebook Messenger app.
Oh, yeah.
So what was the question?
Oh, dear. We were just talking about PubG. Have you tried the beta yet?
PubG?
Not PubG, sorry. Black Ops 4.
Black Ops.
No, I'm not going to even attempt to touch it this year.
Well, I did think this myself. Now I've got mixed opinions on this. I'm going to give you my tuppence on this first, and then I'll pass it on to
the only other person who's played on it.
Yeah, I'll pass it on to Del, but I'll ask Andy's thoughts on this as well, even though I think I know them anyway. Whilst I'm talking with Del, though, Andy, it might be worth just trying out Sherman. Actually, it looks like he's having issues. Yeah, no, my thoughts on this, and I was going to stay well clear. I've got no interest in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. My main thing, although this isn't for everybody, there was no single player campaign, and like a lot of people said, well, you only really touched the campaign for a little while, and then most of the time you were playing the multiplayer. And I can't argue with that because I did it myself. I mean, when the first Modern Warfare dropped, I played the multiplayer on that game solidly for 2 years. I didn't even go to World at War. I literally played every night. I'd come home, I'd have my tea, and then I was on Modern Warfare until bedtime. And I did that for 2 years. So I loved that multiplayer. So I can understand that argument from people. But my argument is then the game should not be still a full price game. It's only got a multiplayer element to it. They've not got the cost of cast and producers and all of the other things that they normally would have on a Call of Duty game. I know games cost a lot of money to produce these days, but I mean, this is a game that's been around for donkeys and hasn't really made any significant changes to its engine for a long time. So whereas the production cost is just going on the graphics and things. So to me, it shouldn't be a full price game. Now, the biggest gripe I've got now, and some people have been saying that, oh my God, the Black Ops 4 Blackout mode is just amazing. It's what PUBG should have been, and it plays so well, and the graphics are that much better. Blah 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 blah. Call of Duty have made millions and millions of pounds. Well, Activision and Respawn and all of those guys that work on these games. Who's the developer for this one? It's Treyarch, isn't it? Yeah. So I mean, they've been around for a long time. They've not really brought anything new to the table in the last few years. The last 4 or 5 Call of Duties, they've brought nothing new to the table. No real game changes. And they've making all of this money. They've made millions and millions and millions of pounds from these games. Yet the biggest change to come into Call of Duty in the last 5 years is a mode that's been designed by what is basically an indie developer, and that's from PUBG. Now everybody's saying, I mean, I've had this conversation with Ross as well, and Ross has said, Call of Duty is what PUBG should have been, and it's miles ahead of it in that. But they've had millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds invested in this franchise for years, and it takes a small company to come up with PUBG, PlayerUknown's Battlegrounds, and bring a game mode that captures everybody. And that game finally gets launched, and now Call of Duty is going to steal their thunder by releasing a game where all they've had to do is introduce a game mode into an engine that they've had for years. And you can guarantee that Call of Duty will sell shitloads of copies, make a hell of a lot more money, and PubG will probably die a death. And I mean, I've played the beta, and yes, it looks great. It's smooth. It runs really well. But it just seems to be faster paced than PubG. It doesn't seem to capture the same kind of tense. Yeah, PUBG is extremely tense. I play Blackout on Call of Duty Black Ops, and it just feels like another arcade shooter. It doesn't feel the same. And I mean, I've seen comments where they've said, "Oh, well, the game just feels more intuitive to play. It feels easier." They've probably got the same old sort of target aids on it, the aimbot, the aiming aids that you have on Call of Duty games, which you haven't got on PUBG. So I just find it a shame that a developer can come out with a really original idea like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and they're just going to get trounced on because bigger companies with games that have been out for years that have put no real incentive or any kind of new elements to a game other than copying it off a smaller developer, and Call of Duty Black Ops is just going to run away with millions of sales and make millions of pounds off it, and PUBG's probably got the potential of possibly just dying off, and I just think that's a big shame because I think they deserve the recognition. I mean, IGN actually have reviewed the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds now and given it a score for the released version, and they've given it an 8.9 out of 10.
That's not bad.
No, I mean it's a good solid game, and they've come out with something original that every single person is now jumping on the bandwagon and copying. Fortnite being another prime example of a company that's copied their idea.
Yeah.
And I just feel that Treyarch and Activision are going to reap the rewards of a smaller developer. And they don't need to put the time and work and effort into coming up with any new ideas because somebody else has done it for them. But there you go. That's my thoughts on the whole, Black Ops, PUBG, Treyarch thing. See, Hebot's joined us. Fantastic. I'll give you a shout out and introduce you in a minute, mate. We're just talking about the Black Ops 4 beta. If you've played that, Hebot.
No, and I won't.
Well, go on. I mean, did you hear what I was saying about it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, well, I mean, if we go to you, Del, first. I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Because I mean, I know you've tried it and I know you like it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Most years, every single year after Modern Warfare 2, I've said I will not buy another COD, and then lo and behold, I want to buy another COD. I don't know what it is, but this new one, like the Blackout mode, I will give it props. It is like a lot smoother, a lot faster. Like the actual, there is still loot in there. You've got to get all your guns, your armor, like basically all your incendiary devices, stuff like that. Obviously, it's not as big, like in the sense, like there's only 80 players. The map isn't as big, but because of the actual honed gameplay that they've actually been able to do over all these years, the actual gameplay is smooth as butter, and because of that, it gives it a bit of an edge. I do like it. It is different because obviously it's first person, and PUBG's third person. I prefer third person on the battle royale games. But yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. The only thing that I'd say is I mostly want to get I actually want to go back on my yearly promise and get COD for, is because zombies this time it's customizable, which is a huge thing for me because I absolutely hate running zombies. We all know this because I've gone on about it millions of times, but zombies don't run. right? And in the actual like the zombies mode, you're going to be able to customize like what type of like the zombie you're going to have. So we can have like the level 1 zombies that just walk and like try and get you. But like obviously they get harder with time instead of like these ones that run, and like so you just don't like enjoy it as much. So I'm a bit on the fence, but I'm a bit leaning towards wanting to get it. And it's not purely for that blackout mode. I want to try the multiplayer because apparently the multiplayer is good, and you can, like, you've got to actually like inject yourself to heal yourself this time. It's not just like getting cover and your energy replenishes. So, they're doing some different things. Whether they're good or not, I don't know. Maybe I might waste my money. I'm not sure because I've already got Battlefield 5 pre-ordered. I played the beta of that, and that was awesome. Like, I really, really like what they've done with it. The actual gun mechanics and everything, the gunplay feels completely different. So that's like really good. But yeah, I mean, they're jumping on the bandwagon, all of them are. But I don't think PubG will suffer because I think they've got quite a loyal fan base, and there's like not that tense feeling like we were saying, like that you get like in PubG that's in that blackout mode. There just isn't. It's just basically like it's faster. Obviously, you've got campers, but then again, you've got campers in PubG. But yeah, I don't think it's the death of PubG. It's just everybody trying to leech off them, which is a shame.
Yeah. I mean,
That's my 2 cents on it. Yeah.
They've all tried it, haven't they? At least at one part, all the campers that you do get in the Call of Duty games, they will have to move at some point because the map shrinks down. So you'll probably find they don't play that mode quite so much because they can't camp to their heart's content.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, I enjoyed it, and it's something. Yeah, if I do get the game, I will play on the odd occasion. But if I'm getting the game, I'm probably just going to stick with the multiplayer and definitely zombies because like I just love zombies. Like so, yeah.
I'm really enjoying the zombies mode on Far Cry 5. They just brought the add-on for that. That's really good. If you've got Far Cry 5, you've got to try that one out. All right, we'll go to we've got a Hebot now, then, mate. We've got a Hebot. Give yourself a shout out, buddy, because you're a bit late joining us. So glad that you could make it, though, bud. How you doing? What you've been up to? And what's your thoughts on Black Ops? Black Ops.
But introduce yourself. No,
I mean, just Hebot here, guys. Once again with my family in the UK. Just been trying to catch up on a lot of different games on different platforms, just so that I can make my own, obvious, my own honest opinion from whatever I'm doing. Whether it's Spider-Man or whether it's Tomb Raider, on the Xbox. I'm just all over the place, but with a little bit of time since school started with all the children and work. So we're not children, but my kids, they're already big, but I got to drive them around different places because we don't have only one car and they don't have license and stuff. So that's pretty much it. But I guess the PubG situation you guys are talking about is basically about the version for Activision for Call of Duty.
Yeah. Talking about well, I mean, we were discussing the Black Ops 4 beta, and just to me, how much that they've not brought any kind of they've brought nothing new to the table for years on the Call of Duty games, and then all of a sudden they've just sort of taken the idea from what is a small developer.
At this point. Right, I get exactly what you're saying. But at this point, Activision very much feels like Sony, where they would come up with other ideas back in the Sega and Nintendo age that Sega and Nintendo actually executed and started first. Then they would do their own version, copy it because they had more money. They were able to do it more polished or add a little trickle here and there, and then they would get all the what you call it, the praises like they do now. They get all the praises. Like there's been Spider-Man games throughout the years. There's been many that have been very good because I've played them, and so have my boys. And everybody's acting like this is the first one ever because it has a next gen quality engine, which is the only thing that really is offering, because it has, it's a next gen engine running the game. But as far as what it's doing, is nothing that hasn't really been done in any way, shape, or form before it. As a matter of fact, it's inferior in many ways to a lot of other Spider-Man games, with whether it's gameplay, cinematics, or how you play the game, and the option and freedom that you have with your swinging, with your perching, with how you collect your suits and all things like that. But that's neither here or there. That's basically how Activision is. They haven't done anything with Call of Duty except rinse, wash, and repeat every year. Giving you stories. Yeah, they're climactic, which is my favorite part, is the campaign. And then because they have all that money in a bigger home, because obviously PubG wasn't a big studio. That's why it was on Games for Preview. They built this game, I think, from a Kickstarter first on PC, and then went to Game Preview and been getting help from Microsoft, obviously. But I'm pretty sure Microsoft has not been able to give them the kind of money, especially that, it's not their IP, it's not their studio, and it's not going to probably stay forever exclusive on the Xbox, so I would understand why Microsoft is not going to full on invest and give them all the money that maybe Activision put on their game. And we got to remember, people, Activision, the new game that Activision is giving with Black Ops, it doesn't even have a campaign. It took everything out that it offered and just gave you just the multiplayer aspect. And that's great for the multiplayer enthusiasts and people that love it, but it's not great for those who like the campaign as well, or that appreciate both, for that matter. It's just shows you the sad state of how gaming is now. Now, I'm not taking away from their version of PUBG, the Battle Royale. I'm not taking away from it. I'm not saying it's bad, or that it may not be good or as fun or as interesting. But we all know it wasn't something that they conjured up, and it wasn't their idea. And it's terrible that they're making all these millions and millions of dollars on a yearly basis from the same sheet that flock to it, and not including Del Poy. I know why Del Poy follows it, because Del Poy is a gamer, and he enjoys, wholeheartedly, zombies and multiplayer competitiveness, to be, period. But I'm talking about like most of the followers that are on Call of Duty are casuals. You know what I'm saying? And you can tell because that's all they play, and they don't mind. They're the ones cheering when they say, "Oh, no campaign, just multiplayer." They're the ones, "Yeah, all right," or you know what I'm saying? Like like you're basically saying okay to shit on the essence of gaming, you know what I mean? Which started competitively, but also with campaigns and stories, or you know what I mean? And that element of gaming as well, that took so hard for us, the fans, to build through the years, and supporting it. It was just, it wasn't just something that was accepted. So it's a shame. It's sad. It just opens your eyes more and more. It makes me worried that, down the line, not too far from us, in the distant future, maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 years, 10 years from now, who knows? Maybe, it'll just be the big guys like them that have the money that'll be able to stay around, and hopefully Microsoft will be able to stay as well. But anybody else that's smaller, that you want to bring a more creative experience, unique experience, they're going to falter and fail, and they will be almost non-existent. And that's what I've said before on this podcast since we started previously, that's what gaming is heading to, that direction. And if it wasn't for the indie games having that freedom of self-publishing, where will we be actually getting more of unique games? Because we haven't really gotten a lot of unique games this generation, except for the indie stuff. With unless you're talking about Sunset Overdrive, and look how that panned out. As soon as they got the big money behind them of interest, of Spider-Man, they put everything down on the floor, finished their other 2 projects, which was Song of the Deep and the remastered of Ratchet, and said, okay, here we go, Marvel. Everybody's running to the Marvel hype train. You know what I mean? So I could understand them for that. It's a big pocket, big payday, and plus none of their games ever sold well. So I get it. But it's a shame. It's a sad state of affairs. And also, people, one more thing too, they still never even embraced and changed and gave you a brand new gaming engine. It's the same engine that's been there for 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why the game looks like shit. It looks like complete dog doo-doo. It's like, what the fuck? For real? What the hell is this? Not to say that graphics is important, because it isn't. That's not the only thing that's important in a game. But if you're in the next generation of consoles, right, like we are, at least give a new engine to at least visually appeal, along with what you're not doing already with your poor efforts to begin with. If you're just going to put multiplayer, at least give you a brand new engine. No, same engine. We don't got to spend no money. We're just going to eat your money, put it in our pockets, and just give you the same old shit and just add new modes. That's it. It's almost like the same effect with football, although they did started doing new engines now, or last year with the new Frostbite, using Frostbite on the sports games for EA. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I'm not playing it because I don't play heavily online. I'm not saying it's bad either. I'm not to disrespect the online enthusiasts and the multiplayer enthusiasts, but I think it's sad. I just think it's sad. I completely agree with you, Microbox. I think it's just they're gonna reap the benefits of somebody else's hard sweat. You know what I mean? Working sweat. That's basically what it is. Yeah. And it's a shame because it's basically the guys who follow them because they don't play anything else. You know?
Yeah. So I mean that was my opinion on it as well. Great to see Sherman join us as well. I'll be coming to you in a minute.
Oh yeah. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, no problem. So Andy, mate, what are your views on this? I mean, I know you're not a big Call of Duty fan anyway. So I mean, what's your thoughts on the PubG beta? PubG? Why do I keep saying the PubG beta? The Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta. And why are you not playing it? What's your thoughts, mate?
Well, first of all, I'm not playing it because I've played too many Call of Duties. The multiplayer becomes so boring now. I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's got like a new game mode. The flow of the game, the tone of it is just going to have Call of Duty written all over it. It's it's going to be. Everyone knows it's going to be like fast pace. It's going to be easy to get kills because they don't allow for any bullet drop. And to be honest, I don't think it looks that good anyway. It looks more or less the same as all the others. For me, Call of Duty is just the same canvas but different paint every time. They just put it's just number 4. Next year it'll be some other shit, number 5. And they need to like grow a spine and try and think of something that's more original than Battle Royale.
Well, they need to think of something themselves, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Stop copying everybody else.
They need to improve. They need to improve on the things that they've got already, not try and steal other game modes. You've got Battlefield with 63 players, and you got teams. And it's like, I'm playing that. Call of Duty can go suck a dick. That's all I'm saying. I will not be standing in the queue at EGX to play Call of Duty. So you guys will have to be in the queue with no room.
Bloody hell. Come on. We're there for 2 days. We've got to try something.
Hey, if you guys are going to play on COD, I'm going to go and play on that Tetris VR game. That's all.
Hey, don't bash Tetris. It's one of the originals and classics.
And it's the most played game. It's the most played game ever, isn't it?
Yeah, I still play it to this day on my phone. I played it nearly every single day of being a gamer. It's always there. It's just something to kill time, and it's a good, fun game. So
it's like Pac-Man, isn't it? It's a classic you can constantly go back to and play. Definitely. And it's on every format. So are you done, Andy? Is that you finished?
No, I'm not done. Yeah.
Well, it's great to see Sherman managed to join us as well. He was having some technical issues. Great to see you back on the podcast, but it's been a long time with this summer break and everything else that's been going on. We haven't been for a while. How you doing, mate? What have you been up to?
Well, once again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Hangouts, and myself, we I don't know. We have to have a serious chit chat about the status of our relationship. I think.
It's almost like E-Rock's relationship with Comcast,
Oh yeah. I have heard that he's had some real big issues with them. And but you know what? But truthfully, over here on this side of the pond, so to speak, a lot of people have issues with Comcast. So and I'm like I don't want to discuss that. Why give them free advertising?
Exactly.
But again, my most humble apologies. I'm glad that you mentioned just at the onset about the whole summer break thing, because last night I was actually thinking about, I mean, knowing how all of this came about, the unfortunate set of circumstances that you're dealing with a certain international corporation with the initials Y and T. And I got to thinking that maybe, I'm not accusing you of any dishonesty, but it just seems to me that maybe that you just wanted to take a summer break, and you deep down knew that we wouldn't go for it. So what could I come
Wait a
up
minute, I didn't
with?
think about that. Chris. Jesus.
I never thought of that.
How dare you?
So it's just a thought. I mean, look, knowing you as well as we do, I believe that deep down, I really don't want to believe that you would stoop to such political levels.
Definitely not.
But I can hear you. I can hear you winking, Chris. I can hear you.
I knew somebody had been
But it's good to it's good to be back on the air. It's good to hear everybody's voices in real time, and so much has gone on since our last broadcast as far as within the industry. So just looking forward to hearing what everybody's take is. I mean, I walked in on the whole Call of Duty subject, and I mean, you didn't ask me my thoughts, but I'll just jump right in. I 100% agree with everything that Andy just said. It sums up my opinion, my outlook of it completely. I tuned out on Call of Duty years ago. To me, the franchise has gone the way of, it seems like Activision is using the cell phone model. Whether it's Galaxy or the iPhone, it's as if the fat cats at Activision said, when it comes to Call of Duty, you know what? Let's try their model with our biggest franchise. So every year and a half, it seems, they come out with a little tweak here and a little tweak there, and then claim that it's an all new game. But anybody who even halfway follows the franchise knows that it's not really legitimately a quote unquote new experience. One mode here, a little graphical tweak there, and even graphically speaking, it hasn't really advanced that much. So I get that they probably in their minds are operating off of the assumption that, hey, as long as they're going to keep buying, why change anything drastically? And on pen and paper, that makes sense. But for those who really look forward to experiencing something new or wanting to anticipate something new, it seems to come up short every time. So I just, Call of Duty has absolutely, over the past few years, it has absolutely nothing for me. I just, I mean, it's gotten to the point where I don't even, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but the past few iterations of it, I haven't even really literally played it, because I've watched my friends play. I've been in the malls and at the local game shops, and where they've got the demos running, where you can actually try it out. And I've watched other people go through the demos, and I've watched other people try it. And each time I walk away with like, okay, so what was that? I mean, I don't see anything definitely not worth spending my time. Definitely not worth spending my money. So until they, as far as I'm concerned, until they do a drastic overhaul, I just don't see where it's worth, at least as far as I'm concerned, where it's worth me devoting any of my free time with. I just don't understand how it's continued to barrel on. You would think, yeah. I mean, I mean, let's be honest. If Call of Duty was a television show, shout out to the Microfilm podcast and the Microfilm Facebook page. But if Call of Duty was a television show, or even a movie, if it was a movie franchise, I mean, now, although the movie thing, we've seen this done time and again as well. But if it was a television show, I think the execs would have pulled it off the air years ago, because there's no growth. There's no plot line twists. There's no character development. I mean, if you take all of that and then transpose it into the gaming experience, you've got basically the same exact experience that we've been dealing with for, I mean, how long has Call of Duty been in existence? What?
Oh, gosh, that'll be
13 years?
Yeah, 12, 13 years, isn't it? It's got to be.
Yeah. And honestly, I would say, and this is my own personal opinion, my favorite Call of Duty experience was number 2, the second one.
Well, the Modern Warfare 2 or Call of Duty 2?
I think franchise-wise, I would say just the straight Call of Duty 2. Now, Modern Warfare, that was where they actually took some risks, and I appreciate that. And it seemed, for the most part, it worked really well. But after that, I mean, it's literally been nothing new at all. And to me, at least take a chance and try something different. Okay, if it doesn't work, well, hey, at least you tried. But it's as if they've just fallen into this pattern, and like, hey, why try anymore? They're going to pay us anyway. And to me, it feels as if that's how they look at the average gamer now. Do as little work as possible, and we're still reaping millions and millions of revenue. And to me, it's almost being rewarded for, I don't want to say bad behavior, but it's like they're being rewarded for mediocre behavior. And I don't even see where they're really trying anymore. And that's which goes back to what Hebot said earlier, where he was talking about the overall, the current state of the industry. Activision, of course, is one of the bigger players in the entire industry. So you're looking at smaller companies, and they see what Activision gets away with. And of course, their frame of mind is possibly going to be, well, hey, if it's working for them, why don't we do the same thing? I mean, to me, if you're a company as big as Activision, you can afford to take chances. And for you not to even try sets a really bad precedent. And that's ultimately, it paves the way for mediocrity throughout the entire industry. And that's a bit bothersome to me.
I think that's the gaming industry as a whole, though. They just don't like taking risks anymore, do they? The cost of these games is so much production-wise now. They're not willing to take the risks in the chance that they might take a hit for it and lose money, and I think it's crippled the industry. Well, like Hebot was saying earlier, I mean, that we're getting more fresh ideas from the indie side of gaming now. And the indie side of gaming, certainly on the 360, was almost a joke at times. It was some of the games you were getting on the arcade indie program that they had on the 360 was just laughable. They were ridiculous. But we're getting more.
Not all of them, though.
Not
Not
all
all
of
of them.
them.
Some
Not
of them
all
were
of them.
really well done.
Yeah, not all of them. Not all. No, I know that. I mean, not all of them, but some of them were pretty poor. But we do seem to be sort of getting more creativity from those developers now, and more thought and more risk from those guys now than we are from any of the big mainstream sort of developers now.